just few days ahead. I have in the studio, Babatunde Oguntomi is my name, and I have in the studio the Vice Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, a colleague of mine, Mr. Muhyiddin Adeleke. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babatunde Oguntomi. It's nice being on this program.
Why the emphasis on Mr.? only Adeoye and Co.
I want to make it official.
Okay, when you say Mr.
When I say Mr.
Adeoye, yes. Bakari, Akinlawola, Messrs. The two of them will know.
Yes, now the nostalgia is still very much.
Mr.
Yes.
So you are Mr. Muhyiddin.
According to Saints Lasun Oyebayo.
Yes.
Lasun
Oyatoye of blessed memory. I will still expect Mr. Charles Akinola Adenitan is returning from Akure. Is the correspondent of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria in our state. Is a barrister in training. We bet before he joins us in the studio. No end in sight to ASU strike. ASU began industrial unrest on the 14th of February as a kind of Valentine gift to Nigerian students. Mr. Bakari, Mr. Muhyiddin Adeleke, how do you see that industrial action by nation's university lecturers taking over 7 months, lasting over 7 months? How they are our lecturers. All of us have passed through one lecturer or the other in the university, but how responsible can we say this is?
You see, this is one strike too many, if you allow me to put it that way, and that's the starting point today. Nobody is happy at the situation of things in our dear country, usually when it has to do with education, which is a very, very vital sector of national life. It is a critical sector which shouldn't be toyed with. The declaration of strike by ASU, well, one will say that if ASU has started to go on strike based on the agreement it had with the government in 2009, which ought to have been reviewed.
It was really negotiated.
Yes, periodically. The government keeps on saying it doesn't have the war chests, the resources to fulfill the agreement. But it appears there is distrust between the union and the authorities. If there is a modicum of trust between the two parties, we shouldn't have been where we are now. The situation is unfortunate, it is damaging, and the repercussion might not manifest now. It might take time before it starts to manifest. So all hands should have been on deck, to prevent the strike from, being a prolonged one.
Okay,
it's unfortunate.
You are talking about the effect not being manifest now. Already we've seen the manifestations. If the students are so frustrated to the level that undergraduates in Nigeria are going to mount roadblocks on federal highways and threatening to go and disrupt flights at the airports.
That is
The
frustration.
immediate
frustration is coming in. It's based on the fact that students feel that the government seems to be unperturbed or not bothered by their remaining at home for a very long period of time, and that's why they are now venting their spleen, their anger on the government. So they have the right to express anger
Okay,
because it is
I welcome
getting
you to the
prolonged.
studio.
Thank you very much.
I can see that you rushed down from from Akure.
Thank you very much.
That's where we commend you for that.
Thank you very much.
You met us discussing ASU strike and the federal government in Broglo, whatever, the effects that is having on the students already. I asked him, Mr. Adeleke, whether we can say it is quite responsible for a national union of the magnitude of ASU to delay education, to disrupt education in the country for over 7 months, and the end is still not in sight.
Well, there are two sides to a coin, and it will also be unfair to put the blame at the doorsteps of just one of the parties to a dispute. ASU is not irresponsible, and it has not acted irresponsible. ASU has acted within its rights to protest the welfare of its member and to protect the university as is also incorporated in the demand of the union. So it will not be fair for us to say that ASU as a national union is responsible to have gone that way. Well, it might not be true, because we look at it on the other side. If you take a critical evaluation of the Nigerian education system, particularly the university education, what we do only is certification. We are not training people. And that's why we say somebody will tell you I'm a graduate and he's driving Okada. There is no way you can attend a university and properly trained and certificated and come out to come and ride Okada, because the ego of being a university graduate, there's certain thing in you that education would have changed, transformed. But so what you see today is that we have a university that only fulfill the purpose of taking people off the street, keep them somewhere for 4 or 5 years, and of course that also that also lower the tendency of restiveness. And after that 4 years, they come out of that system. You take them to NYSC, pay them small amount of money, and I give them a free hope for 1 year. By the time they come to face the reality of society, they would have been weakened in such a manner that they cannot challenge the system again. Some of them will be looking at getting married, some of them will be looking at things, and so on. So the government is deliberate in some of these things that it does. Particularly people who have come into government successively, they have been overwhelmed by the challenges, and what they come to do is to rub the whole thing, is just to massage the problem and they leave. So nobody who is coming will also address it. So for me, I'm not saying, though, if we begin to look at it critically, I will begin to, where I will blame ASU, blame university management, and blame authority. All of them take a portion of the blame. But for me, the box end on the table of government. And like Chairman Maho said, he said the success of a society depends on the ability of the leader. It is the leadership that drives people. So whatever happens to any sector of the economy, to any sector of our national life, is a reflection of the character of leadership that we have produced over time. Leadership is sacrifice. Leadership is a serious, is a sacred responsibility that you accept. And you say, look, I accept leadership, and you don't want to be praised. A leadership is not willing to be praised. All the leaders we have seen in the holy books, in Quran, in Bible, even in our traditional religion, nobody didn't wait to be praised. Jesus Christ did not wait to be praised. Prophet Muhammad did not wait to be praised by people. People don't even praise leaders that are doing well. Any leader that is praised is not doing well. So when our leadership should accept responsibility of leadership that is a critical thing, and now do what it's supposed to do. But unfortunately, again, this challenge of ASU has confirmed, the university crisis has confirmed what Lord Lugard said about, that we want power but does not know the responsibility.
Let me remind you of a factional union of lecturers under the aegis of Congress of University Academics, CONRA. They are calling for immediate resumption. Now, it's supposed to be a month warning strike. Now a month has dovetailed into over 7 months. That's why I'm using the word, and it is deliberate.
They have the right to do so,
and
because
I'm not saying ASU is irresponsible, but how responsible is that act?
The Trade Union Act permit any labor union. So there is a process before you declare strike. Give a day warning strike, a week warning strike. If something is done, you can go. Now there are other options available in the law, in the Trade Union Act and the labor law, for government as the employer and the owner of the university, because the president is the visitor to those universities and governors visitors to those universities too. There are options for them in the law, in our statutes, to resolve issue that without allowing it to promote into this stage. One of them is bargaining. Is bargaining. One of them is bargaining. But if you look at it, have they fulfilled their own side of the bargaining? The problem is this: the principle in law is consensual with them in contract. So if we have agreement on the mind, then we go into contract. But once you breach it, it becomes defaulty. The government has constantly breached its own part of the agreement. So at this stage, that also has no option. Now you raise the issue of corruption. Corruption. What's the Conwa? I know that Conwa has the right to assist as a trade union in the university, but I don't know also want to name Conwa as working for the state. I'm being careful of my language, but of course, I can understand Conwa, a union that is just coming and seeking recognition.
They are not even known yet.
It's not even a union.
It's not
registered. As provided by the law. It's just a body of people calling for resumption. We appreciate their sincerity, their call. But of course, Conway has to do everything that is possible to make the Minister of Labour register it as a union. So what they are doing today can continue to appeal to the sentiment of those in government or sentiment of parents who feel that school should be reopened. But not seeing things from the other ASU, from the mother union, from where the Conway is taking off or is exiting. So for me, Conway is right for his call. ASU is also right to continue to be on strike. But what the issue is this: as the government be responsible enough to address the issue headlong. That is exactly what we should address. And let us try to apportion blame to where it is. In what way is ASU guilty here? The university administrator and the government too. But I know that in totality of the whole thing goes.
Okay, now, Muideen, how good also for the federal government to have allowed the dispute to last to date?
I said it's at the outset that the government should have taken the bull by the horn, should have addressed the grievances of ASU before now by ensuring that all the demands of ASU, even if they cannot be met 100%, government should have demonstrated the political will to meet at least a sizable percentage of the demands. And by now, we shouldn't have been talking about students even being at home for a month, not to talk of staying at home for 7 good months. It doesn't speak well for the image of this country as a sovereign nation, and as a nation that prides itself as one of the countries that places and one of the countries that place premium on education. Go to other countries of the world, you discover that Nigerian students are really doing fine. They are even breaking records there because we are known to cherish education. It's unfortunate that all these prolonged strike and what have you are doing incalculable damage, not only to the psyche of the nation, but even to the products that come out of these universities. They are not being given the recognition that they really deserve abroad. Mm-hmm. By the time you say you are a product of one state university in Nigeria, you get to get to abroad, and you are not going to be so accorded the recognition you deserve. So I think the government of the day, I said it and I'm reiterating it, that government should dangle carrot before ASU. If ASU is demanding for 10 things, if you can meet up to 7 at a time, you now even give that what do we call it? You assure. Give assurance that the remaining 3 will be met beforehand. Unfortunately, the priority has not been on the education; it has been on some other things. And the ASU members too. I think the academic staff union of universities in Nigeria needs to do much. Universities in Nigeria, as we have them in the world, are supposed to provide solutions to the challenges facing every country.
Well, thank you very much.
That is it.
Both parties will be in court today at the National Industrial Court in Abuja. We hope for the best, but we're just trying to
There is
ensure
no
that.
court. There is nothing court will do. Court cannot resolve the matter. The government that eventually resorted to court. Was it supposed to go to court?
I think the main issue now is about the no pay, no work, no pay policy of the
but
federal government.
the provision. I know that when you do not work,
Should people be paid for the job they didn't do?
You shouldn't be paid for the job you not do. There are plethora of authority in respect of that. Because once you say you are leaving job to protest, you have also given your right, considered your right to be paid.
But ASU will not concede to that.
I'm not saying ASU will concede to that. Naturally, nobody will concede to that. Not naturally. But ASU will also arrogantly continue to push that it needs to be paid. But eventually, what will solve the matter is not the court. It's going to be resolved by political means. One party will shift ground, the other party will shift ground.
Okay.
The kind of the matter.
Gentlemen, I love the two of you for you have made your points, and I think people at home are better informed. They can see where we are. The major issue is for the student to go back to school. I think that's the major concern for us as a parents. For us as parents.
Yes.
Not to go back to school alone, to have a functional university system. That should be the major concern. In fact, the Nigerian parents are also guilty. Everybody, there are two parts of guilt. Is that you are guilty of conspiracy of silence or outright conspiracy with the oppressor. The Nigerian parents you talk about,
parents are interested in having their students back at school.
They are guilty. They are guilty. Your parent is off the street, is off the school for 6 months. Now, you know the problem is this. We are overwhelmed and we are hypocrites in this part of the world. Number one, some of the students are falsely conscious. They are now in churches on prayer mountain praying to God to intervene in what government should do. Some other are doing Yahoo.
You don't believe in the efficacy of prayer.
No, we know. It's not what government should do is not what we should seek prayer to do.
In Anambra State, the government has placed a ban on students wearing miniskirts to school. Female students, Muideen, I know that will interest you.
The issue interests every parent, every stakeholder as far as education is concerned.
Morally,
you when you go to school, you graduate, and after you must have been deemed to have merited being given certificate or found worthy in character and learning.
Yeah.
So if we are trying to produce
indecent dressings,
exactly, we shouldn't promote that. As much as possible, students must be decently dressed, in order not to.
Adelita will argue that it is their freedom to dress the way they like, because it's a law.
Nothing must be done.
Oh, yeah,
nothing must be done to seduce teachers.
I agree that everybody, including a child, has a right to whatever he chooses to do. But there is always limitation to every right.
Okay.
The law, the Nigerian Constitution, will always put an exception. Say save in the existence of other law. For example, let's look at the issue of marriage. That you have right to marry anybody that you like. But there is the same marriage act that say you are liable to go to 14 years imprisonment if you say you want to marry a man of your gender. So even if you look at the Child Rights Act, that also explicitly provide for the right of a child. There are exceptions to that right. The law, what the problem is that we sometimes misinterpret the law. The law also permit parents to punish their children. What you see, every law, in jurisprudence, a law is a product of the culture of a people. Any law that does not align.
I'm talking about moral dressing.
Yes, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. I think in jurisprudence, a law is a product of a culture. Any law that does not conform with the culture of the people will be rejected outrightly by the people. So part of the culture of the black man, of us, is that there is a way you should.
The scale should reach the nail.
Yes, there is decency in what we should do. But because of hypocrisy, we close our eyes to some of these things. But now a government is being responsible and say, look, you must enforce certain things. You must promote decency by law. And it is not wrong. For me, let's leave the matter of right. A child who is still in secondary school has a limited right. He does not have a right to dress indecently. When he can go to showbiz and dress indecently, even the American people will copy. How many people in Washington who is in government who is doing something in corporate world that dress indecently? You go to California, where you are the Nollywood people, what they call them now, Hollywood people. That's where they dress indecently. But you see, there are certain places, certain things are expected. A school is a decent environment. A school is an environment for culture, environment for learning and excellence. And in such environment, not just any form of dressing is allowed. And such enforcing such rule, I support the government of Anambra State, and I think all our other governments that are supposedly liberal should copy that and ensure that in our schools our children are taught how to dress and dress properly.
It's better to cover every sensitive part of the body, of the female body, even and the male body, than to allow them to do whatever they think they want to do. Muideen.
You see, there are no two ways to that. He has rightly put it that we have our culture to protect, and we are all products of culture and tradition. So if you go to some countries during the summer, well, let me say, as somebody who is an ardent follower of probably Islam or Christianity, if you go to some countries of the world, especially the advanced nations of the world during the summer, you might find it difficult. You want to probably cover your eyes not to see certain things, because people practically go naked when they dress. They don't care. And one thing about it is that we have to. Everybody has a right, yes, to dress. Especially the adults have the right to dress anyhow, but the decency must not be sacrificed on the altar of your right.
I said earlier that we are parents, the three of us. How do we advise the students that are resuming today for this semester?
Yes, of course. Students
are academic session.
Time is not on.
Yes, students are resuming today. They just let them abide by the rules of the school. One of the rules of the school is read, and that dressing, which you have just mentioned. So there is nothing. Everybody knows what is. The established culture. Our students should work within that. Their parents should be responsible too. And look at. It's not that school has resumed now. Okay, everything now you leave it to school. Teacher will see. Some parents will leave their children in school until 6-7 p.m. to come and pick them in this private school. It is not correct. A parent should also be responsible.
Yes, as parents, we must engage in good parenting. That means we must be responsible.
They follow them, know what they are doing.
Exactly. Yes, teachers too must teach. That's what they are paid for. So whether public or private school, let the teachers, those in charge of school, let them do what is expected of them. And students, pupils also, must be ready for learning.
I want to thank the two of you for being part of this program today. Time is not sufficient for us to say everything. We just have to make the best use of what we have. Babatunde Oguntomi is my name. Until next Monday, when we come, I will also probably invite the two of you next Monday to discuss the nation's independence anniversary. We still have that opportunity. God bless you, Muideen.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for coming.
It is my pleasure.
Yes, Olatunji Ojo, I also thank you for being there for us this morning. Bye-bye.
Fine FM is a veritable platform to belong. We are set to serve you hot every Monday between 10 and 10:45 in the morning. Join Babatunde Oguntomi on Issues in the News. It promises to be educative and informative.